I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
I'm gonna have to science the shit out of this.
Andy, in 1986, we reenacted the knife game from Aliens and I stabbed you in the middle finger.
If you knew the trouble I had getting an AI to read and duplicate facial expressions.
Saito, we can train your subconscious to defend itself from even the most skilled extractor.
How can I do that?
Because I am the most skilled extractor.
I don't retire my own kind because we don't run. Only older models do.
You new models are happy scraping the shit. Because you've never seen a miracle.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to episode number 68 of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. My name is Flo.
And I'm Gabe. How are you?
Doing okay, man. How you doing?
I'm fine. I'm actually kind of excited about this episode.
Yeah.
Because this was one of the hardest lists to put together in a way.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is, every single one of these picks is something that I absolutely love. Because when we do lists about actors or actresses or whoever, they have some amazing things, but on like the 10th and 9th spot, they're good things, but often nothing too amazing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But here we had 10 years of pretty amazing movies.
Yeah.
And I do love sci-fi so much. So I'm very glad we're doing this. How about you?
Yeah. I was excited when we came up with this topic for the same reasons. And I don't know about this list being difficult because like 1 through 6 for me, I knew all of the movies, not necessarily the order. And other than that, I mean, I've had to put together tougher lists.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it, obviously, when we get to it. But I'm excited because, as you mentioned, for the first time, we're now talking about a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, we had the Christmas special and the the end of the year special, obviously.
Right.
But this is now the first, like, apart from Christmas, another genre special. And we decided to do the best sci-fi movies of the 2010s, which is 2010 through to 2019, right? No 2020 releases.
Yes.
And obviously, we're excluding once again the MCU because...
oh, we are?
Yeah.
Well, I had 10 MCU films.
I know you did. I know you did. No, because a lot of those would have made my list, and it's just easier. And when I put this list together, I kind of also wanted to talk about some movies that we haven't yet, and it's difficult because my favorite sci-fi movies we have talked about yet.
Yeah.
So I tried to find a balance of the two. We're going to talk about some things we've talked about before, but on my list, I tried to include some things that were lesser known, maybe. And also, we need to talk about the definition of sci-fi because
I think, I think they're going to be different for us. And I'm fine with that. Whatever is sci-fi for you and sci-fi for me, I tried to include more classic sci-fi things. So my definition was more, it had to either include aliens or some kind of advanced technology or being set far in the future or far enough to make it different from something that's set in, I don't know, 2020.
Sure. I mean, the one example that we talked about when we messaged each other was About Time, which is, right, that's not on your list.
No, because
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I tried to do it like this. I think of it like this. No. Like when I think of a sci-fi movie, I don't think about time. I can't necessarily explain that because you could argue that it is sci-fi, but I don't think of them as sci-fi movies, and I try to include movies that really I think of as sci-fi movies.
Well, when we talk about time travel, I think, for example, Back to the Future would be included because it's some kinds of science that's not real, so real science fiction. About Time could as well be, fantasy in a way, because it could be as magic.
Sure.
It's not really explained. And I had the same problem with another movie, which I rewatched because I planned on picking it in my top 10 list. And then I thought about it. it's not technically sci-fi. It could as well be fantasy, although it's tagged as sci-fi. So I know it's complicated.
Yeah.
But we'll get to it.
I think we're going to have some picks that the other person would have excluded for other reasons. You know what I mean?
Could very well be.
I think so. But before we dive in, and I'm excited about this, but I have to mention, I have to give a special shout out to our friend Ben, who just helped me out like 10 minutes ago because I was all ready to go, ready to record, try to turn on my laptop. And obviously, it wouldn't turn on because that's just, my luck. I don't know. Perfect timing. It wouldn't turn on. And I've had that happen once before in its lifetime, the laptop that is. And I knew that I had to like press the reset button, which is on the back of the device. But you have to have like the smallest, I don't even know.
Pin?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, to press that. And I didn't have anything like that in my flat. So I rung up Ben, who lives close by, and he helped me do it. And I'm very happy that he was there to help me. So special shout out to you. Love you very much.
Is it a Apple device?
No, not even. No.
I didn't know other computers even had like a reset button that you had to press with a little pin.
Yeah, I think it's more of a battery reset. Don't ask me what it is exactly, but now it's working and hopefully it will continue to work for the next however long this episode is going to take.
But talking about advanced technology and sci-fi, you're about to get a new computer, which
I
is
thought you were going to say we're
sci-fi.
talking about sci-fi advanced technology and I can't even get my laptop to turn on. How does it work? Yeah, I'm in the process of building my first PC.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like it's my first PC ever, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's the first time I'm putting one together.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
Yeah. I've asked for a lot of help from a lot of different friends, and you were certainly one of them. But hopefully, once that is all set up, I don't have to. Well, the goal is to record from that PC then. So maybe hopefully that'll turn on.
No, I think it's gonna be very cool when you finally have it put together, and I can just tell you, it's an amazing feeling when you finally finished it and your hands have stopped shaking.
Yeah,
when you're holding like a $400 GPU or graphic card.
Yeah,
and it just won't fit in like your first 2 or 3 tries.
Sure,
it gets the heart pumping. I'm telling you.
The great thing is I'm taking my old GPU because I'm not prepared to spend 3 times the asking price for a GPU nowadays. So I'm taking with me my But anyway, we digress.
Yeah,
and let's talk about the best sci-fi films of the 2010s. And I don't know. Do you know who starts? Do you want to give a rundown of the show real quick? How are we going to do this?
I have honestly no idea who is starting this episode. I planned to look this up as always, and then I forgot because I had to put together my list. But for anybody who is new to a special episode, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. Here we talk about the best thing we've seen from an actor, actress, or in this case from a genre, in this case science fiction films from the 2010s. And yeah, we're going to do this in the top of a top 10 list. We're going to count them down and going to count it down to the best thing that we've seen in that genre. And when, for example, I have something on my number 10 and Flo enjoyed that particular thing a bit more than I did, and he has it on his, for example, number 3 spot, we're going to postpone the discussion, and otherwise we're just going to do it then and there. And this is the best thing that we've seen. So it doesn't have to be a movie. It could be a TV show.
I thought we excluded shows this week. Do you have any shows?
Maybe.
Oh, we talked about this though, right?
Did we?
It's on the WhatsApp. Yeah. We talked about not including shows.
Well, I can change this real quick. What is gonna be my new number 10?
Oh, you only had one thing at the 10 spot? That's good enough. You could change that really quickly.
That's okay.
I remember distinctly that we talked about this because I was like, are we going to include shows too? And you were like, no. And I was like, I agree. Let's just do movies.
That could very well be. I have a terrible memory. And all right. I have like 16 honorable mentions. So I just got to pick one of them.
Yeah.
Who? You know what? I'm going to go with one that I planned on picking and then
it's your turn to start. I looked it up, so you can dive right into it if you want.
Sorry.
Oh, I love the bit of scribbling.
Mm-hmm.
Put it closer to the mic. That's engaging. You know, the noise gate. The noise gate is just going to completely get rid of this.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, am I happy with this? Am I happy with my new number 10? I actually excluded this because I wasn't completely sure if it's sci-fi enough.
Right.
But I'm saying fuck it.
Yeah.
For the sake of convenience.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. Who's going to start this episode off?
It's you. You can.
It's me. Oh,
yeah, you
perfect.
can list that pick right away.
Okay, so for the first time, I didn't watch anything new for this special.
Same.
But instead, rewatched a couple of things.
I haven't watched anything. This is my
really?
least prepared special ever. So
okay.
yeah, but it's because I knew almost nothing could ever crack my top 10. Because I wrote down like
they were so set in stone.
Especially the first 6 or 7. Yeah.
Yeah, my top 5 are also like pretty set.
And I have one thing that's not on my list that's gonna be an outrage to you, but we'll talk about it. A little teaser, you know.
Okay. I actually think I know what it is.
Yeah, you might be right.
Anyway, my number 10 I rewatched I think yesterday, then decided it could as well be fantasy as it is sci-fi, but I picked it anyway, and that movie is Colossal.
Yeah, great choice. It's not on my list.
Okay.
No, but it's a great choice.
I thought so. Why is it a sci-fi film or why is it not? The whole plot of this movie revolves around Anne Hathaway's character, who is a bit of an alcoholic, moving back to her hometown after losing her job, breaking up with a boyfriend, and rekindling a bit of a friendship with one of her old, I think, elementary school friends, and starts to work there. And she then kind of has a supernatural connection with Seoul, the capital of South Korea, because every time she walks through a certain place at a certain time, an avatar of her appears on the other side of the world in Seoul, and in the form of a huge monster, which kind of is a bit reminiscent of, for example, Godzilla, walking through the city. And she has no idea that it's her, and then finally seeing that connection between the two. And I don't know, would you classify this movie as science fiction?
I would.
Yeah?
I would, yes.
I mean...
Do you need further explanation? Because I can't give you one.
Yeah, sure.
I can't give you one. I think that's sci-fi, yeah.
There's no real device that does this. It's more of a supernatural occurrence.
I have a couple of those movies on my list.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's still such a weird concept. And the first time I saw this, I had pretty much no idea what this movie is about. And I think it's almost always better to go into those movies blind, but I don't think it hurts the plot in any way, because it very much evolves from that. And her first realizing the connection and then having the weight of responsibility on her shoulder for what she's done, although she wasn't even aware at the time what she was doing.
Right. It's always when she's drunk. Sorry. Isn't it always when she's drunk? And
pretty much, because I think it happens like 8 a.m. when she's usually walking home from a drinking bender.
Yeah.
And, if you're a huge fucking monster walking through a populated city, hundreds and thousands of people are going to die. And if you one day wake up and realize that it was actually you who did this, it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt you bad. And then also her, of course, realizing the role alcohol plays in her life, fucking so many things up. And also the theme of a bit of abusive relationships. And it's a very unique way to kind of tackle these topics. And I don't know any movie that's in any way like this. So
yeah, I mean, that's sort of the genre, right? That's sci-fi. That's the original movies that are great. They always come up with great storylines, and that's certainly one of them. I remember seeing this, and because I think I watched this more because of Jason Sudeikis.
Mm-hmm.
I like him a lot. But yeah, it surprised me too. It didn't quite make my list, but it certainly was in contention for it, because it's just it came out like, when was it, 2015 or something like that?
Yeah, 15, 16, something like that.
Yeah, somewhat a more recent film that I don't think a lot of people have seen. But it's certainly worth seeking out. Yeah,
I'm not even sure if it came out in cinemas here.
I think you watched it in the cinemas, didn't you?
No, I watched it like 2 years after it even came out. I think I watched it in 2018, 2019.
Okay.
I think it's a good movie. I think the explanation is a bit hit or miss of like the connection, how it even started.
Right.
But yeah, cool concept.
For sure.
What's your number 10?
My 10 is Never Let Me Go.
seems so familiar, but I can't place it. What's Never Let Me Go?
This is one of those that I think this is more. I'm going to have some movies on my list that may not be sci-fi in your head. I think this one should be in everyone's head because it stars Andrew Garfield, Carey Mulligan, Keira Knightley, and it's directed by Alex Garland, who did Ex Machina and Annihilation, and he's known for those great sci-fi movies. And Never Let Me Go, I think it's 2010, so just about scraping the list.
Yeah,
but it's an incredibly heartbreaking story of kids that grow up in some sort of orphanage or some sort of boarding school, and once they turn a certain age, they get told what their purpose in life is. And I don't want to give this away for sure, because I don't remember if the trailer gives it away, but it's about love, and it's about despair, and it is really about sort of trying to prove real love, because when two students can prove that they're really in love with each other, their fate might be different than everyone else's. So, it plays with right. Does this sound intriguing enough without giving too much away?
It sounds like a more, not sappy, but a bit more. What's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
It's a bit more. What's the other word for sappy? It's a bit over the top. It's a bit.
Campy? I don't know.
Campy, maybe. A bit more campy version of The Lobster.
Oh, dude.
You gotta find
the other way around.
Okay.
The Lobster is way more over the top. This is a pretty straight movie.
It's just weird and upsetting in a way, The Lobster.
Oh, for sure. But Never Let Me Go, it doesn't have any of that. It's a straight drama.
Okay.
And that has some heartbreaking scenes to it, because it spans, I don't know how many years the movie spans, but obviously you definitely heard that going by. I can't do anything about it. This movie stars the girl that we talked about last week, Dave Bautista's daughter in Army of the Dead, Ella Purnell. And I remember going through her IMDb, and I was like, oh yeah, she was young Ruth in Never Let Me Go. I couldn't place her. But now I rewatched the trailer for it. And even though I said I watched like the first 20 to 30 seconds of it. So I can't quite remember if they spoil certain things of the story. But I saw her there, and I was like, yeah, of course she's in that movie. Yeah, I remember us talking about that.
When did you first see this movie?
I would have to look it up. A couple of years ago, 4 years ago.
Not in the cinema?
No.
Okay.
I heard great things about it for a long time. And as a fan of Andrew Garfield, and I like Carey Mulligan as well, and Keira Knightley, I was excited to seek this out, and it didn't disappoint. It's really, and the sci-fi element, I'm kind of staying vague on that, because you really want to experience that for yourself, because it's quite shocking why these kids are where they are.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but it's not like brutal or anything. It's just. It's sad more than anything, really.
Okay, just mentioning Alex Garland is pretty much enough for me.
Right?
He's a great director and writer.
Yeah, he is. I'm sure we'll talk about him in a bit again.
I'm sure we will.
What's your 9?
My number 9 is Ad Astra.
Yeah. I knew that our 10 through 5 are going to be completely different.
I would think so as well.
Yeah. Ad Astra did not make my list, but I like that movie too.
Yeah? I think it was in my top 10 of 2019 movies. I think it was 2019. 18? I think 19.
I think 19, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's Brad Pitt, the man, the legend. And I think I had this movie as well on my top 10 Brad Pitt movies, which was our very first special. Shout out to us, I think, or him. It's a bit of a different sci-fi movie in a way, because it's a mixture of a bit more realistic in a way and very sci-fi epic, because it's about a man who has to save the world because the surge is coming, which is electric pulses emanating through the galaxy and destroying things and electrical equipment, and things are going to shit. And then he learns that all of this is somehow connected to an expedition that his father underwent like 30 years ago. and he has to go and find what happened to his mission.
Right.
At the edge of the galaxy or the solar system. And so he has to travel to Mars and make contact, and it's quite grim for a sci-fi movie. And it seems a bit more realistic, like I said, not because like the science works out, I have no idea, probably not, but because it's not about people shooting lasers and big space battles, but because of just this one man's mission to get from point A to point B and all the horror that he has to go through. I think we once described it, or somebody described it as a bit of an Apocalypse Now mixture with,
Definitely.
I don't know, what would you mix it with? Apocalypse Now with
Gravity? Well,
Gravity, maybe, yeah. Or, yeah, Gravity is pretty good, or Interstellar, maybe.
yeah. All of the sci-fi movies. Yeah.
Sure,
But definitely
put 'em all in
Apocalypse Now. Definitely Apocalypse Now.
And I think that's a great description. I don't think the movie got as much love as it could have gotten.
Okay.
But in a way, I also get it. It's quite slow, but it's so filled with emotion and just an epic journey. And I mean, who can say no to Brad Pitt, right?
Well, Angelina Jolie didn't she?
Ooh.
I'm so
Burn.
sorry. By the way, it happened again. I made a complete mess of facts. Never Let Me
Please.
Go is not directed by Alex Garland. It is
Ooh.
written by him.
Oh, okay.
Still good, right?
Yeah,
It's
fuck
directed by Mark Romanek, who did like 1 hour photo. I'm so sorry. That's all I had to say before, but it's written by him, so it's kind of an Alex Garland movie.
that. All
But
good. All
Ad Astra, yeah, just a bombastic movie. Even
Yeah.
though it is more subdued than like other epics,
Yes,
space,
subdued is a good word.
right? Other epics set in space. But I mean, beautiful visuals. I remember that when
Mhm.
he's climbing the tower. I think it's in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
And that's in the trailer too. It's a beautiful shot, and just yeah, it was a bit slow for me.
Yeah.
Which if you compare it to Apocalypse Now, that's a 3 hour plus movie, and I love that movie. But yeah, I still thought it was really good, but it just didn't. I don't necessarily want to go back to it. I haven't rewatched it since, and I don't plan on doing that. That's why I didn't make my list.
Me neither. I mean, it's only been like 2 years at most.
Yeah.
But I think what Ad Astra also got, which a lot of the movies coming up also have, is great fucking sound design. I think sci-fi is the perfect platform for great sound design because you can build in so many foreign, sounds that you couldn't anywhere else, and they just stay in your mind. And also the mixture of silence of space itself, when he's fighting on the moon against space pirates, which is such a cool scene.
Which is a cool but kind of absurd scene too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't necessarily think that fits with the rest of the movie, that scene, even though it is cool. I mean, we're fighting space pirates, but it's more of an internal struggle of Brad Pitt's character. It's like this movie that explores his mind too, as sort of the main theme, I would think, and obviously his relationship with his father. But then there's like a battle between space pirates all of a sudden. It's just like,
I mean, yeah, fair enough, especially when you say it out loud, but it worked for me when I saw it.
I'll say it very quietly next. No, it's a good movie. It's a good movie, and Pitt is incredible in it.
As always.
Yeah, great actor. We should do a special on him.
In 20 years.
Yeah.
So what's your number 9?
My 9 we can not skip over, but do really quickly because we've talked about it before. You don't like it. I love it. It's got to make my list. It's Limitless, which bounced between my 7th spot and its 10th spot, and now it landed at number 9.
Is it sci-fi?
That is 100% sci-fi.
Okay. Sure. Sure.
I mean, I am basic in the way that I can argue that way, because if you type it in on any platform, it says sci-fi as like the first thing I think on IMDb.
Mm-hmm.
That's good enough for me.
Sure.
It's a sci-fi thriller, isn't it?
I try to exclude things where I wouldn't immediately call it a sci-fi movie. I would call this a weird action movie.
But it's got, I mean, I think this is science fiction all the way through. There's this pill that is giving him this access to his whole brain, and that is science fiction. That pill doesn't exist, and it tells a story of what would happen if that existed in the real world.
I think there's another movie that's going to be on your list, which I didn't include because I would more see it as an action movie than a science fiction movie, but I think we'll get to it.
Name it.
Inception.
Okay.
For me, that's not sci-fi enough.
Okay.
I would call when we do a best action movies of the 2010s, this is going to be quite high, but
Inception.
yeah.
You think that's one of the best action movies of the 2010s?
I couldn't think of many else. I mean, I think the best one is still probably Mad Max, but also tagged as a sci-fi movie, and there's nothing science fiction about this, right?
I thought
it's
that's my omission. That's my omission.
Okay. Yeah.
But I thought this would make your list, and you would be sort of, that was the one I mentioned before.
Oh, this would be way high up
this
there.
This is not on your list. Surely
no,
that's
because
sci-fi, no?
Because no, there's nothing like all the technology they use is real life technology. They're using cars and guns just in a world that's kind of fucked up from the environment, but it's not. It doesn't have aliens. It doesn't have like new technology. It's.
I mean, we're gonna have some very different picks then, because
I'm sure we will.
Yeah,
I'm sure we will.
Okay.
I try to pick more classic sci-fi things.
I know you talked about that, yeah, and I try, but I think Mad Max. But we'll talk about. I mean, Mad Max isn't on my list. So we're not going to talk about it anymore. But I would think that's sci-fi. But
yeah, I would also put this as an action movie.
I would agree that it's more of an action film than sci-fi, but it's definitely. I would think of Mad Max as an action film, but Inception, for me, that's mainly sci-fi. It's a sci-fi thriller, yeah. But we'll get to all of those. Limitless, we talked about it as well in the Cooper special. Mm-hmm. What is it? NZT? I mean, that's completely wrong. The pill that he takes, isn't it NZT?
Sure.
Could be completely wrong, but don't want to look it up. Put it in the comments if I'm wrong. But Cooper and De Niro, obviously, and it's just the better Lucy in every single way.
Yeah.
It was before Lucy too, but it's just...
Lucy was god-awful.
It was. And Limitless, I think, is great.
Yeah?
It's great. Yeah. The only part that is like, I think it's Abby Cornish as his love interest. I'm not a huge fan of her. She was also in 3 Billboards for no reason for me.
Oh, really?
She's Woody Harrelson's wife.
Ah, okay. Completely forgot about her.
I think she's in Limitless, right? I'm always questioning myself when I say these things on the record.
No idea.
So. Isn't it Abby Cornish? Yeah, she is in that. Okay, good. But yeah, I think everyone has seen Limitless, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. But I just love the exploration of what someone could do when he has access to his brain, when he has 100% access to his brain. And that's the sci-fi thing of it, right? You can actually test that, and or
sure.
Now you can. So you got to watch a movie for it, and I think it's just really, really cool. What do you got?
Yeah, it's a cool concept. My number 8 is, I think, more classic sci-fi.
Okay.
Which is Annihilation.
Yeah.
Is it on your list?
It didn't make my list either, no.
Okay. I have no idea what you could have in
as I said,
the next couple of spots.
5 through 1, we have almost the same movies, I think.
Okay.
We'll get to them. But yeah, Annihilation, obviously, this is an Alex Garland movie.
This is an Alex Garland movie, written and directed, starring Natalie Portman, who I'm a huge fan of, and also starring Oscar Isaac and Jennifer Jason Leigh and Thompson. I forgot her first name.
Tessa
Thompson, thank you so much. And others who I can't name right now. And it's such an abstract movie. And what I love about it is how open-ended it is in a way.
Yeah.
So little is explained, which same for the characters. They're not sure what even happened to them, which is what I love about sci-fi. Science fiction is also like the exploration of the unknown, which is why probably 2001: A Space Odyssey is such a magnificent movie and so well loved now, because science fiction opens up the discussion of what is even out there, how can you even see this, and I think if you talk about the ending with people, you can have a completely different view of what even happened.
Yeah,
which is amazing. But Annihilation, it's a Netflix original movie, or at least they bought the rights to publish it. And it's about a team of scientists entering a bit of a, not different dimension, but they go through a veil, through the glimmer, and end up in a world that's a bit different, since the main character's husband went through the exploration, came back, and now he's very sick, and she's taken to a military base and told that, I think 3 years ago or more, a comet hit a lighthouse. And ever since then, this kind of bubble has been expanding from there. And every exploration team then went in, never came out, except for her husband. And then she and a team also undertake the journey and see how similar everything is inside. But the farther they go inside and the nearer they go to the lighthouse, the stranger things become.
Right.
And especially the ending is, I wasn't sure the first time I saw it, it was quite a mindfuck. But having seen it again, it's such a cool thing because it's so open-ended, and the visuals of this movie, since inside this bubble, like I said, things change, like DNA mixes and things that shouldn't be one thing kind of mixed together, and it makes you think, and it just looks amazing.
It does.
The visuals. I mean, you saw this too when it came out, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't love the open ending. I mean, no, how do I say this? It's just not for me that. I appreciate it for what it was, for what it is. And actually, I think the movie is really, really, really good.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't love those kind of endings as much as other people do and as much as you do. It's just, I kind of, if I'm put into those kind of sci-fi elements, I want answers. And you could argue that that's the wrong approach, but that's just more the way I approach these things. And for me, when I think back to Annihilation, I think of great visuals and great performances by both Portman and Oscar Isaac. But yeah, I don't, once again, I don't really plan on rewatching this anytime soon because I know it's all going to lead to a huge mindfuck at the end. And it's, no real answers, you know?
But I think it's even cooler when you watch it for the second time because you're more prepared for what's about to happen, and then your kind of mind pieces together the movie a bit better.
Could be.
Which just makes it even more fun.
Yeah, I haven't seen it since. I've only seen it the one time.
You gotta, I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, the more I think about it now, it might warrant a rewatch. You're right. And it's definitely sci-fi.
I would
think we could agree on that, yeah.
What's your number 8?
My 8 is Edge of Tomorrow. Is that sci-fi?
That's very much sci-fi.
I think it is. That was more like, do you agree with that?
It's got time travel. It's got all the things.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you this on every single one if you agree that it's a sci-fi. But I think this is very much sci-fi. And I don't think we talked about this movie before, right? We haven't done a Cruise or Blunt special yet. And
I don't think we have.
This is also one of those hidden gems that everyone has seen. I know that's an oxymoron, but this is one of those smaller movies that through word of mouth, everyone kind of went out to see. What's going on? What's going on?
An oxymoron.
Right?
That's pretty good. No, it kind of sounds like you got, those toilet paper rolls. They got a new word on every.
Is this the wrong? I think it's the right word.
I'm sure it is. You just sound so educated.
I think
that's out of place for
I prepared. I haven't watched anything. I haven't rewatched anything, but I wrote down one word and I tried to include it smoothly. That's oxymoron.
You did. I'm blown away.
Thank you. But you pointed it out now, so the kind of. But Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise keeps waking up, keeps dying, and keeps waking up in some sort of dystopian battlefield where he has to help. Is it Brendan Gleeson? Because I think so, right? So he's the one of the.
He's ordered by Brendan Gleeson to attend the battle.
Right. And I remembered his name a couple of days ago, but I can't think of it now. Is it William Blake?
The main character's name.
Yeah, not that it's like of any importance.
Cage.
Cage? Is it Cage? Is it Nicolas
because
Cage?
I remembered it because I'm sure it's because he's kind of trapped inside this time loop. So he's caged.
You're so damn smart. It's unbelievable. You're right. It doesn't say the first name, but I mean, great Tom Cruise. I like Tom Cruise, but a badass Emily Blunt as the warrior hero on the battleground. Rita, right? I think her name is, and with her epic sword sort of slicing through everything, and the connection that these two characters build. And obviously, it keeps getting interrupted because Cruise keeps on dying, and he keeps having to reapproach Emily Blunt's character. And it's just I love pretty much everything about this movie. I love the ending too, and there's been talks of a sequel for years. I think there's even a script, and people, I think I've heard recently someone say that, I think it was Emily Blunt, that it's just not going to get made because it's it would need such a high budget. But I would love a sequel.
Yeah, I think the first one wasn't as popular as one would think.
Right, that's what I was trying to say. It wasn't as popular when it came out, but sort of through word of mouth, everyone then got word of it and saw it after it was in theaters, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was also kind of blamed on the title.
Yeah,
which they
changed, yeah.
Live, Die, Repeat.
Yeah.
Which I think is also not a good title. I mean, it describes the plot a bit better, but it seems like a very cheesy t-shirt.
I actually think Edge of Tomorrow is a great title. But it just, if you know what it's about, it's a great title, right? It doesn't really sell tickets, maybe, if you don't know what it's about.
Yeah, Edge of Tomorrow sounds quite cheesy. Cheesy is the word I was looking for.
Cheesy, right.
Yeah.
Right, let's go back. No, but this is directed by Doug Liman. And another one of those, that's an action director that I really enjoy his work, whose work I really enjoy, who he did like, I think he did the Firstborn movie, and we talked about him recently because he's doing this, what is it, Chaos Walking? The one with Tom Holland. Yeah, which was supposed to be pretty bad.
Yeah.
And he did Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I have a soft spot for. So, yeah, it's written by Chris McQuarrie, who did he's doing all the Mission Impossible movies now. So,
oh, really?
Yeah,
wasn't aware of that.
He's one of the most interesting screenwriters and now directors working today, and he's so open, and he's been a guest on so many podcasts and talks openly about his filmmaking. And it's honestly, if you're interested in that, he's the best source of that. There's an Empire podcast with Chris McQuarrie. There's many of them, and he just talks about spoilers and I mean spoilers. They're doing like Mission Impossible spoiler talks, but he talks about every single aspect of the filmmaking for hours and hours. So really, really great guy. And yeah, he helped on a lot of Tom Cruise movies, and he helped like writing the scripts before he directed the Mission Impossible movies. And I like Edge of Tomorrow a lot. It's a Groundhog Day set on a battlefield, and that's enough for me. I mean, we talked about Boss Level recently, which is a Groundhog Day movie, and there's been a few of them recently, but Edge of Tomorrow is just really, really well done. And Bill Paxton is in it, who a couple of years ago passed away, unfortunately. But
I did not recognize him in this movie.
He looks like himself, doesn't he?
And well, he's got the mustache. He looks more like a drill sergeant, which he is, but I didn't recognize him. Especially, I guess, also because he changed his voice to sound more authoritative. Is that the word?
Sure.
But yeah, I gotta agree. I was quite surprised by Edge of Tomorrow. I was expecting to hate this movie because I'm not a huge fan of Tom Cruise action movies.
Sure.
But it's very entertaining.
You bastard.
And the cool thing is, apparently, it's based on a Japanese manga, which also kind of explains the over-the-top sword by Emily Blunt's character. But it's like the first time I've seen this done right, to adapt a comic medium or something like that into a real movie, because otherwise it just seems so campy and stupid. But yeah, you don't even realize that it's built on another medium.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I did not know that. That's interesting. But it makes sense, yeah. The sword for sure. What's your 7? Yeah,
my 7. I don't know if this is going to make your list, but my number 7 is The World's End.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. It did not make my list, no.
The World's End, the third movie in the Cornetto trilogy by Edgar Wright, which also includes Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, of course. I hope everybody has heard of this movie, but it's... Okay, before I start talking about this too much, there are time codes. I'm going to tell you, watch this comedy. It's fucking amazing. If you have no idea why a movie about people doing a pub crawl is sci-fi, that's good for you. Watch the movie and just skip ahead to the next pick, because I think it's even cooler if you don't know what the fuck is going on in this movie. But yeah, this movie is about a group of friends trying to complete their pub crawl from many years ago. Doing all 12 pubs in one night. Finally reuniting, and only one guy who's really into it wants this to happen, to reunite with his friends. And yeah, they start doing it, and the more they move on from bar to bar, they see how much their hometown has changed and how weird everybody is behaving, and how apparently the alien invasion has started and they haven't even noticed. Which is just such a stupid and perfect plot for an Edgar Wright movie. Who's one of the funniest directors working today.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Wouldn't you say so?
I don't know.
Like producing consistently funny movies.
I think
and shows.
I think he's done some great work, but whenever I think of Edgar Wright now, I think of Baby Driver, and that I did not like that movie, and
But it's less of a comedy than
for sure
his British movies.
No, his comedies are great, but The World's End to me is the worst out of the Cornetto trilogy. Trilogy.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I don't love this movie, but I think it's good. I think it's okay.
I would place it in the same spot as Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead.
I would never do that.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, I think those are two way better movies.
Fair enough. I mean, it's quite different. And the cool thing is it's got pretty much always the same two actors in the leading roles, always as different characters. And their dynamics always change quite a bit from both of them being losers in Shaun of the Dead to only one of them being a loser and the other one an overachiever. And then things switching up in this movie. And I think they're great in every role. And it's got some very cool cast. I mean, except from Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, who are always the leading roles, to Martin Freeman, who has played Bilbo in The Hobbit and other things. And who else is
Pike, right?
Rosamund Pike, of course, who I never would have thought would star in a Edgar Wright comedy.
Yeah.
But she's
Pierce
great in
Brosnan.
Patty fucking
Considine.
Brosnan. Christ. I mean, yeah, it's just a fun ride. It's so stupid, and it went in a direction that I did not anticipate such a comedy would take.
I didn't know that either beforehand. I remember distinctly watching this like maybe 5 or 6 years ago at a friend's house, and had no idea what was going to happen. And it was surprising, but then again, I didn't necessarily love the movie. So,
Yeah. I mean, it's different than the other movies, but it's still got that charm. I mean,
very original too.
Yeah, extremely original. And there's also a great comment under the World's End trailer describing Shaun of the Dead as two guys trying to get to a pub. The second movie is about them uncovering a big conspiracy. And the third one is discovering a big conspiracy while they're making their way to a pub. Coming full circle.
Yeah. I mean, recently, like a couple of days ago, the new trailer dropped for Edgar Wright's new movie last night in Soho. It looks really interesting, man. It looks kind of like a Brian De Palma horror film mixed with it's got. I mean, I know that he loves De Palma as a director, Edgar Wright, but it looks really interesting and really a movie that is not of its time, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm afraid it will be more along the lines of Baby Driver than his original movies, especially since it's, I'm pretty sure, not a comedy.
Oh, you loved Baby Driver, no?
I liked it, but having rewatched it, I liked it and no longer loved it.
Okay. Right.
Anyway.
Yeah, this is going to be the longest episode ever if we...
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
Well, I think when we get to the later picks, we've talked about them quite a bit.
Right.
Already.
But that's always an issue of this show. Whenever we do this format, we sort of dive into the lesser known movies more, and then the really good stuff we sort of rush. That's how we do it,
Yeah.
My 7, and this you would not define this as sci-fi, but
I'm sure I wouldn't.
I have not talked about this movie on this podcast before, and I think you could argue it is sci-fi, and I love it. It's called The One I Love. Do you remember me talking about this?
I remember the name, but I remember nothing about the movie.
This stars, what is her name? Elizabeth, no, not, from The Invisible Man. Oh God, I'm blanking.
Fuck.
I got it. Hold on. The one I love. Elizabeth Moss, of course.
Moss.
And Mark Duplass, and it's directed by Charlie McDowell, who is Malcolm McDowell's son from
That's the
Orange.
Okay.
What's the Kubrick?
Clockwork Orange.
Clockwork Orange. Thank you. My brain today. But The One I Love. Now, I rewatched the trailer for this, and I thought the trailer would give away the twist of the movie. Or not the twist, but the sci-fi element of it.
Right.
But the trailer doesn't, so I won't either.
Okay.
And it is fantastic. I'm going to say right now, watch the trailer because it's such a good trailer. But it is, I'm not spoiling it, but the main story is that there are a couple, Mark Duplass and Elizabeth Moss, and they get sent away to like a retreat, to a nice little getaway house to spend some days there because their therapist said that everyone who goes to this house is going to come back happier. And
Okay.
once they get to that, they discover that on the estate that they're at, there's another little house, and they go into this house, and strange things are happening there. And what they do is they go in it not together, but separately, and then they talk about what happened in there afterwards. Now, I'm not going to give away what happens in there, but it is brilliant. It is brilliant. It is so brilliant, in fact, that I was disappointed when they didn't make more of the concept, because I remember distinctly, I've only seen this once, but I remember distinctly one scene where I was just like, my God, this is brilliant right now. But the scene was over in like 30 seconds. I was like, why didn't they spend more time in that scene? Why did he give away what is happening? I'm trying to stay vague here. If you watch the movie, you'll understand.
I mean, I recently watched a movie about another topic, but I think the sentiment is the same, which is if you want more of the scene, I think the scene achieved what it wanted, because leaving you wanting more is, I think, one of the best feelings, right?
Yes and no.
Yeah?
Give me 30 seconds more. You know what I mean? It was really not long enough.
Okay.
Innuendo.
I mean, I have no idea what you're talking about, so it's kind of hard to judge.
No, but that's good, right? I mean, they enter this little cabin or this little tiny house on their estate, and when they're in there, they some strange things are happening, and they come out happier than they were before. And I really don't want to give this away. This is the hidden gem of this week's list. I think you could definitely argue it's sci-fi, and the ending, you could say about it what you want. It's maybe kind of predictable. But then again, this really isn't about the ending as it is about the concept and the main part of the movie. And it is a movie that not a lot of people have seen. I looked it up recently. I don't think it's on Netflix anymore, which is weird because I thought Netflix bought the rights to this. So I don't quite know where you can watch this, but I'm sure you'll find a way. And I'm encouraging you to seek this out because it is damn good.
I wanted to watch this, but I wasn't aware that it was sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
So I just put it, I thought it was just a relationship drama, you know?
It is. But it does have sci-fi elements to it.
Oh, okay. Well, now I regret not watching it.
Still time. There's still time.
Yeah.
But yeah. Here you go. I watched this on June 2017. Can I give you my Letterboxd review from June 2017?
Oh, please. 9.5?
No, it's an 8.1.
Okay.
Aside from a couple of obvious plot holes, forced and unrealistic exposition scenes, and a few missed opportunities, especially in one particular scene in the end, right? There we go. This is still one of the most original and fascinating romantic films I've seen. Both leads are absolutely brilliant. I mean, come on now. It's basically what I said now, right?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of shit on it a bit more in your review.
In your Letterboxd review, I agree. Yeah, I don't remember that. But come on, I mean, really, really good still. So watch this movie.
Interesting, yeah.
What's your 6?
My number 6 is probably the most sci-fi thing on this list. Yeah, I rewatched this and I remember loving it, watching it in the cinema, and I was blown away once again.
But it's only your 6. Okay, whoa.
It's only my 6 because the other ones are just so unique.
Sure.
You know? But my number 6 is Star Wars Rogue One.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, why I picked this as my number 6 is because this pretty much embodies what sci-fi is, right? It's got aliens, it's got spaceships, it's got lasers, it's got everything. It's got Star Wars. And this is one of my favorite Star Wars movies of all time. I mean, no disrespect to the originals, the original trilogy, which I haven't seen in a long while, which I loved as a kid. This is...
I love this pick.
This is such over the top. It's a sci-fi epic, which I would love to see more of, but there's so few movies that actually succeed in it. I mean, because movies like, what's it called? Valorant? No, something like that. From Luc Besson.
Oh.
Valerie? No.
Amy
something
Adams?
like that.
What was that movie called again? God, Valerian, right?
Valerian.
Valerian.
Thank you. it sucked, and it's so hard to do because it's so hard to not become campy or just so cheesy. And the thing is, when you do these movies, you have to kind of open them to a wide audience because they're fucking expensive to make. So you can't take any like artistic risks because the studio is gonna say no, right? And I get it, but it's kind of too bad because I would love to see something like that done by, I don't know, Denis Villeneuve or Alex Garland. But I doubt they'll ever get Disney Star Wars kind of budget.
Well, Dune. I know it's not Disney Star Wars, but
I'm sure it's got a huge budget.
It's got a huge budget.
I'm sure it's going to be still more restricted than like Star Wars for all obvious reasons.
I think, few things have more resources than the Star Wars production, I think.
But yeah, I loved it, and I didn't expect to love it because although I do like Star Wars, most of the movies are more miss than hit. It's got its own take on the whole genre, and it stays so true to the original movies. And to see this whole universe of different planets that they visit, different starships. I'm just a huge sci-fi nerd in some respects, sure. And this is why I love this movie. This is pretty much everything that I want to see in a sci-fi epic. And there's so few of them out there, and I was so blown away by them. And I think this kind of works as a standalone sci-fi movie, although it's way more enjoyable, of course, when you kind of get the consequences, because it's kind of sets up the very first movie, A New Hope. I think the effects are amazing, especially when we first saw it in the cinema, kind of resurrecting dead people, which is, well, morally a bit of a gray zone.
Yeah.
It looks amazing. I think the actors were so well cast, and they brought in so many new characters that I loved so much. I mean, especially when you compare it to the newest 3 movies, which were all okay. The first one was still the best, but the others were quite shit. This is what a Star Wars movie should look like, and yeah, I was blown away by it.
I agree that this is the best Star Wars movie, like, of the new ones.
Yeah.
But I disagree with the characters. I think where this movie fails is that you don't give a shit about any of these characters.
Oh, really?
I think so, yes.
I love their characters, especially at the end, because I was just rooting for them all the way through, and yeah.
We have to disagree there.
Fair enough.
Which is fine, yeah, but especially the end, I was just like, okay.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. But any movie with Mads Mikkelsen is a win in my book, so. No, I agree. This is definitely, I'm with you on that. It's one of the better, or maybe the best Star Wars movie of all the new ones.
Yeah, and Mads Mikkelsen has now been in Star Wars and the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, and he's going to be in the indie movie too, in the new one, the new Indiana Jones.
Ah, wow.
Yeah,
great.
Yeah. He's Disney blowing up, and I love it.
Body soul, yeah.
Sold
good for him, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
What's your number 6? Still nothing in common so far.
No, as I said before, 5 through 1 will be in common. But 6 is another one of those maybe hidden gems. Not as much as the one I love, but my 6 is Predestination.
Still haven't seen it.
This is amazing. And speaking of mindfucks, this is the single biggest mindfuck movie I have seen.
Wow.
And I cannot even begin to tell you anything about the story. Because first of all, I haven't seen it in years, but I remember, it stars Ethan Hawke and Sarah Snook. I don't know if you remember this, but when we talked about Pieces of a Woman, I mentioned Sarah Snook, that I remembered her from Predestination because she plays like the cousin that also kisses and has an affair with Shia LaBeouf's character. Do you remember that lawyer?
I don't.
That lawyer that he goes to, and then they have an affair with each other. That's also Sarah Snook.
Okay.
And I first noticed Sarah Snook in Predestination because I was blown away by her performance. And Ethan Hawke. Man, Ethan Hawke is also such a great actor. And I think maybe we could one day talk about his career a little bit more in depth. But
yeah,
Predestination, I genuinely like. I don't want to give anything away. I don't even know where to begin, but it's about the vast part of the movie is just two people talking, and it's riveting. And then it's got the sci-fi element of time travel, and you can find the person. I think it is you find the person who is gonna kill you, or it's like one of those. It either is the person who's killing you, or it's like a serial killer on the loose, and maybe it's both. Like he has the ability, Ethan Hawke has the ability to time travel and sort of prevent things from happening. But that's not even close to the story of this film. I would just say seek it out if you're into dark sci-fi thrillers. This is not a lighthearted movie by any means, but it is a movie that is gonna fuck with your mind more than you can believe.
I mean, every time I see the poster for this movie, I think this movie has to be bad. I don't know why.
I can understand that. No, I can understand that.
It seems, I don't know, quite commercial and easy. But I mean, the premise does sound interesting. Kind of reminds me of Minority Report.
I mean, that's sure. As in that it's sci-fi?
No, because also people trying to find killers through sci-fi technology. You know?
Yeah. It's directed by I think it's Spierig brothers.
German guy?
Yeah, 2 German brothers who have recently directed Jigsaw, which is the latest in the Saw entrance, obviously now with Spiral coming out.
Yeah, I just want to say Spiral. Is it out yet?
It is out. In the States, it's out.
Right,
I don't think it's out here, but I'm looking forward to that. But I'm looking at IMDb, and I gave this movie a 9. I mean, that's all I'm going to say. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty high.
I love this movie. I really did love this movie, and I want to rewatch it again. I know that there's certain elements of it that I didn't see coming that in retrospect I should have. But then my stupidity worked in my favor then because I enjoyed the movie more, you know? And I remember giving the movie to Max, a friend of mine. You've heard of him.
Which one?
No, our friend Max.
Okay.
And I think he loved it too. And,
interesting.
Yeah, my 7 is my hidden gem of the week. Predestination is a lot more well known than the one I love, but then again, I still think it's underappreciated and underseen. So check out Predestination for a mindfuck of a lifetime with great performances, Ethan Hawke and Sarah Snook, and just it really looks amazing too. The movie, I don't know how big the budget was, but for what they had, they made the most of it. It's really cool.
I mean, talking about underappreciated movies, I think also Ethan Hawke is pretty much a very underappreciated actor.
For sure.
I mean, few people talk about him, but he's got some very cool titles under his belt.
Yeah.
Some that I'm still missing, but yeah.
I'm reading the IMDb synopsis, so I might have made probably the whole thing I said was completely wrong of what it is about. It says here, for his final assignment, a top temporal agent must pursue the one criminal that has eluded him throughout time. But I'm pretty sure there's also an element of finding the person who kills you. So I don't know.
Sure.
I have to rewatch it too. So let's all watch it together. Predestination. Yeah, sure. It's really cool.
Yeah, sounds interesting. Once again, a movie that I sadly haven't seen, but
we'll get into the common movies now. The ones we both
think
have
so
in
as well, but I do think my number 5 is not on your list.
Okay, here we go.
Which is Under the Skin.
That's not on my list, but I knew it would make your list. I knew it would make your list.
Because I recently listened back to our Scarlett Johansson special to see where I placed even the movie, and it was my number 2.
Yeah.
I loved it, and then I rewatched it yesterday at midnight.
Yeah.
What a fucking ride. I think this movie is more of an experience than a movie, and I would kind of tell you to just watch it and not know what it's about. But then again, I watched it and I still have no idea what happened, because there's very few dialogue scenes and no exposition scenes whatsoever. Everything that kind of tells you what is even happening is conveyed through looks and kind of abstract scenes and portrayals, but nobody goes ahead and actually tells you what's happening. I think Scarlett Johansson plays an alien. I can't even say that for sure.
No, of course.
Because it's never said out loud, I guess. She could be a fucking demon for all I know. But I think people, and especially the directors, have described her as an alien.
This is Jonathan Glazer, right?
Yeah, Jonathan Glazer, who I don't think I've ever seen anything else from him.
He's in Sexy Beast.
No. I don't think I've seen that version.
There's one.
Yeah, I think you, like I said back in the Scarlett Johansson special, you recommended me this movie, and it's so weird and so abstract, and it's got one of the best fucking sci-fi soundtracks in a way.
Oh, for sure.
It conveys so much emotion and just unsettles you so much, since I think the director described the plot as in it becoming a she. As in this, I think, alien
Right.
discovering more of her own emotions and developing her own persona and personality. And it's got some haunting imagery.
Oh, for
which
sure.
is
Scary as fuck,
something
that movie.
So scary. There's this one scene where somebody deflates.
Yeah.
And I almost fell out of my bed. It just, first of all, the sound and just the imagery. It stays
amazing.
with you a long time. And ever since I first saw this movie, I thought about it quite a bit from time to time. I think it's an experience, and it's a movie that you're gonna remember probably for the rest of your life in a way, and it's just gonna shape you in a way.
Oh, wow. I mean, the great thing about it is obviously that all of those interactions that she has with the Scottish, I think it's in Scotland, right? Those are all real interactions that they didn't know that it was for a movie. I
don't think all of them.
No,
I
but
think
some of them,
the
right?
beginning. Yeah.
No, of course not the beginning. I remember. But a lot of real interactions, and people didn't know that they were sort of going to be a part of the movie.
Yeah, and there's a man with some
biker.
Also, which is never explained, which is so cool. Once again, it's a movie that you can just talk about and discuss. But there's what I want to say. There's this guy with a bit of a deformed face.
Yeah.
Do you remember the guy?
Vaguely.
Yeah, no makeup. That was really him, and I think that's really cool how they did that and kind of incorporated it into the story.
Right.
No,
cool it's a good movie. It's a good movie. I can't even say anything bad about it. It just didn't make my list, but it's a great pick.
Yeah. What's your number 5?
Let's have the first the first movie that you're going to say it's much higher for you.
Yeah.
My 5 is Arrival.
I thought so. It's higher.
Yeah.
I have to say about Arrival, I thought about excluding it, but because I thought it was too obvious. But
how can you exclude that? That's sci-fi.
I know.
No?
Of course. All right. So I think we're gonna have another thing in common. Might be the same spot actually, which is Ex Machina.
No, my 5 is Arrival, so it can't be the same spot. This is your 4.
No, 4.
I'm so sorry. It's not on my list.
Oh wow. What the fuck? Okay,
is this movie directed by Alex Garland?
Funny you should mention. No.
It's my 11.
No, of course it's directed and written by Alex Garland.
Yeah.
So funny because I remember you also loving this movie.
I put down 4 honorables. This is one of them.
Okay, fair.
I have way more honorables, but I narrowed those down even, and this is one of those 4.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, Ex Machina, also a movie that's gonna stay with you because of what it's about. Because since it's set more in a bit of a realistic setting with a big sci-fi element, which is a man is invited to his boss's house to be part of a test, which is to test the personality of his new AI robot that he has created. And that robot has a face of a human, so she can convey pretty much every human emotion and seem alive even, which kind of offers the question, where does life even begin? Can a computer be alive? And of course the characters being confused by that, and the one employee being portrayed by Domhnall Gleeson being very confused in what he is supposed to do and who is lying to him, because his boss is a very weird and not eccentric but very authoritative guy.
Once again, Oscar Isaac, and one of his best roles in my opinion, if not his best. Yeah, he's amazing in this movie.
And also Alicia Vikander, who plays the robot.
Right.
And so many times you're not sure who is even the good guy, who is the bad guy, or if anybody is good or bad.
Well, you sort of sympathize with Donald Gleason's character, no? He's sort of, isn't he like the
most? Yeah, he's kind of the protagonist, being kind of caught between both fronts.
Right.
As in,
he's a good guy, no? Is he alright?
Yeah, sure. I think he just embodies what most people would do in these situations. You know?
Yeah.
He's thrown to something that he has no idea what is even happening, and being completely out of his element and being stuck between trying to impress his boss and developing emotions for something that's technically not even alive.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's one of those things that stays with you because of that thing, and also opens up the discussion. And I think artificial intelligence is such a cool topic, and to dissect it in such a way, it's a perfect movie to go out for a beer afterwards and discuss what you would have done.
Oh, good old times. You remember?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Back in the good old days, yeah.
I do. When I thought of this list, we're talking about the best sci-fi films of the 2010s. I knew this was going to be talked about, rightfully so. Because I think this is also, it's not a blockbuster, but everyone's seen it. And especially if you're into sci-fi, you've seen Ex Machina. And I haven't seen it since I saw it in theaters, but I can still remember so many things about it, which is just one of the greatest things a movie could do if it just stays with you that much. And I remember distinctly sitting in the theater with a friend and watching this movie, and we were just both blown away by it. This is also during the time when I really fell in love with movies, like even more than I did before.
When did this come out? 2014?
14, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Don't know if it was 15 for us, but like 14, 15, something like that. But I need to rewatch it in order to put it on my list, because I know that it deserves to be on the list. I just haven't watched it in so long, even though I can remember a lot of things about it. I just need to rewatch it, I think. But I remember so many things about it, and I remember laughing so much when the dancing scene happened. It's just so great. The dancing moves that Oscar Isaac has. But yeah, it's great. It's fantastic, actually. But it's been so long since I've seen it.
I'm so glad that I watched it, because I think you recommended me this movie because I didn't watch it in the cinema for whatever reason, but I did think it looked quite interesting, but I had no idea what it would do to me.
And this is sort of the movie that introduced Alicia Vikander, as you said. And obviously
very cool
now an
now.
Oscar winner.
Completely forgot about that.
For the Danish girl. It's one of the more peculiar Oscar wins in the last couple of years, in my opinion. But okay.
I'm sorry, something that I forgot to say about Under the Skin. Some great scenes, because there's some complete nudity, both by male and female actors, which there are people in full nudity, including Scarlett Johansson, but it's in the least sexual way possible.
You're really trying to get this movie out to people, right?
Everybody stops watching this episode and just picks up Under the Skin.
Right now, yeah.
No, but I think that's such a good inclusion of nudity, because you can do nudity just to kind of get people to be like, oh, that's hot or whatever.
Yeah, it
like
makes
Game of
sense,
Thrones.
doesn't it? Yeah.
But it just shows how exposed these people are in some horrific situations. Plus, how many times do you see full erections in a movie?
I don't even remember that.
Yeah.
I remember Scarlett Johansson, but I don't remember a full erection in the movie.
You see 2 or 3 guys with full erections.
Yeah, I must have blanked that out.
I've never seen that before in a commercial movie.
Yeah, if you're now not hooked, I mean, I don't know what you need.
Anyway, okay. Yeah, Ex Machina, amazing movie.
It's great.
I know 2 of the movies coming up, so I'm maybe even 3.
You know all of those movies, but I mean, I know what you mean, but
yeah. Okay. What's
your
number 4?
Through 1 are literally 4 of my favorite movies, and they just so happen to be sci-fi movies.
Fair enough. Yeah.
The order could change. I went with this one now. 4 is Ready Player One.
Of course.
I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Without any hint of irony. You can say about it what you want. I loved it. And it's one of my favorite ever theater experiences. When they dive into a movie in the movie, when that happens, when they enter a different world of an old movie, of an old classic, I literally slid out of my chair because I was so excited. I couldn't believe it. Because they talk about it and we're going to need to go into this world now. And they're like, and I'm like, what's going to happen now? And then they actually redid the whole thing. I'm trying to stay vague, obviously. Ready Player One, directed by Steven Spielberg. And it's based on a book by Ernest Cline, which I bought afterwards.
Have you finished it?
I read, I think, 20 pages and haven't picked it up since, but it's great. And it's about, sort of all people live in an oasis now. So they all have these VR glasses on, and it's I don't even know when this is set, somewhere in the near future.
Yeah. Sure.
And yeah, most people are living in this oasis, in this virtual reality that Mark Rylance's character has created. And when he dies, he leaves an Easter egg in the virtual reality that all of the people are trying to find, because the people who find it, what is it? They get control of it. Is that what it is?
I think so. Yeah.
Haven't seen it in a while either, but I had no expectations for this film, and I remember it was actually in a sneak. And I watched it 2 more times in theaters after it.
Oh, really?
Because I wanted to see it on the bigger screen too, in IMAX. And once the premise was set and explained to me in the movie, and it was like, all right, we're gonna start now. I was just like, oh my god, yes, the inner child in me was out, and I enjoyed the next 2.5 hours immensely. And I know the ending, you could argue, especially with Ben Mendelsohn's character and the way his story concludes, is a bit meh, but man, the rest of it is just incredible. And I love the music of it. You got, I think, Van Halen jump in the beginning, and I was in it from the moment that song played. It ends with Hall & Oates, You Make My Dreams Come True.
Wow.
Just 2 songs.
It's a real fan talking.
No, it's not even because I watched it so many times. It's just, I remember when the movie ended, and I was like, it's literally when the credits start, and it goes like, what I want you got. And I was like, oh my God, this couldn't get any better. All of these 80s references, obviously, like a bombardment of nostalgia. Maybe I'm even too young for some of the references. I'm trying to obviously keep up with all of them, but so many references. The book is filled with them as well. And just as a video game fan, as a fan of movies, it's literally like a nerd explosion, that movie. And it's got this element of like some people like hunting down a treasure, which I talked about National Treasure. I love any good treasure hunt. So Ready Player One had to make my list. And it's amazing. It's Olivia Cook in it, and Ty Sheridan as the main guy. And yeah, it's good, man. I just love it. I know that not a lot of people revere it as much as I do, but I just completely loved it.
I mean, I think I would have loved this movie even more if I was younger, which is kind of paradoxical. Is that a word?
You trying to say oxymoron?
Oxymoron, thank you so much.
No, that's not right.
Because then I wouldn't have gotten all the references, you know?
Right.
But I think the story and how it's set up with all the video game stuff, it's cool, but I think it would have been cool when I would have been younger.
You mean older?
No, younger.
But
if I had seen this when I was like 14, when I was like in my high point of my video game lifestyle.
Right. Okay, I got you.
But then again, it's a lot of fanfare and a lot of nostalgia, which is fun to watch. But yeah, it just didn't work on the same level as it did for you. But I get it. I mean, it's a fun ride.
And also starring Simon Pegg.
Just to
bring it full circle. Yeah. Right. I could talk about this movie a long time, but let's move on.
It looks good. It's a fucking CGI fest.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the whole thing is done. No, actually, when he's in the stacks, and I think it's Columbus, when it's really Ty Sheridan, that's filmed, I think, on film, and the rest of it is all digital. I think I heard that somewhere. Something like that, because they wanted to. Spielberg wanted to show the differences between the two worlds even more. Yeah.
Huh.
What do you got?
Yeah, my number 3 might be your number 1 spot.
Oh, it's going to be
The Martian.
That's higher for me.
Okay. I just want to say, having rewatched this, I regret not putting this as my number 1 Matt Damon movie.
You said that before.
We should delete this fucking episode and re-record it.
But it was your 2, right?
I think so.
That's close enough.
It is the fucking Matt Damon movie, but right. What's your number 3?
The fucking Matt Damon. My 3 is Inception. I don't know how you can't think of this as a sci-fi movie.
I just see it as an action movie. Of course, the whole concept only kind of works because of the device and everything. But yeah, I don't know. I just didn't see it as an action movie. I guess
you must understand that it is, though, right? You know,
I do understand, but it just in my mind, I just it wouldn't mesh with the other movies, you know.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Just like I wouldn't have put Limitless in there.
Mhm.
But I think if I had put it on my list, it would still be behind World's End.
Inception would be behind World's End.
Yeah, because you always gotta weigh up which is like the better movie and which is better like the sci-fi thing, you know?
Oh, you went that way.
Just like we did with actors, what is the better performance as to compared to what is the best movie?
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, that's interesting. I tried to weigh that up too. Am I going to go for the sci-fi elements or am I going to go just straight for the movie? I tried to do a mixture of both. It's always difficult.
Of
but
course, yeah.
I think this will be the movie that we can skip because we've talked about Inception on the DiCaprio special, and I do believe that every person in this world has seen Inception.
I think so.
And
that's really the movie that everybody has seen.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most successful and widely known movies of all time, especially in our generation. So if you haven't watched it, do yourself a favor and seek it out because it is damn good. And obviously the sci-fi element, it's dreams within dreams within dreams, which it's pretty science fiction-y to me.
I mean, I think I've made this joke before, but if you haven't seen Inception, congratulations on your first birthday. I don't know how you found this episode. But if you're, I don't know, above 10 years old, you've got to have seen Inception.
Yeah.
Which only speaks for the movie.
No, for sure. I love it, man.
I mean, it's an interesting device. It's an interesting concept. But I don't know why it's not sci-fi enough for me. Because I don't know.
It's going to be like 4 or 5 weeks when you're going to be... the way you feel now about the Matt Damon special, not including The Martian, you're going to feel about that with Inception on this special.
I should have put it at my number 10 at least, maybe, instead of Colossal.
No, we all make mistakes. I'm not trying to say that. I can understand your reasoning though. I mean, I've had this with other movies that I excluded them for various reasons that we can't quite explain. So...
Well, fair enough.
Let's skip the talk of about Inception though, because we're already running pretty late, and we've talked about this. Well, we're good, and I think if we skip this, we're right on time. So, what's your 2?
My number 2 is going to be your 2 as well, which is Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, that's obviously it is. Yeah, because I know you won, and
the first thing we got in the same position.
Yeah, and this could easily be one for me. Sorry,
forget it. Yeah, I mean. I talked about this before. It's so much about sci-fi is also like the design, and Blade Runner's got this very minimalistic and such a cool dystopian sci-fi feeling. I mean, oh my god! And we've talked about this before, as you said on the Ryan Gosling special, as the best thing that we've seen. I mean, it's made by one of the best directors working today.
Yep,
and I mean, it is. I don't know. I don't know what I can say about it that we haven't said before.
This is sort of the sci-fi... Sorry to interrupt.
No, please.
This is sort of the sci-fi epic that you talked about with Rogue One. That's my Rogue One in terms of that. You know what I mean? This is the big budget sci-fi epic that delivered on every level, somehow living up to the first one, which I put it right up with this one. I still don't know which one I prefer. But I rewatched this. I didn't quite finish it. So
it's a long movie.
It's a long movie. I watched, interestingly enough, I think 2 hours. So I'm just missing like the last 30 minutes. But I know what's going to happen. And I was just completely immersed in it from episode 1, from second one.
I mean, this
it's
city
an astonishing
just
movie.
seems so cool and real. And once again, it's kind of begs the question of what is alive and what isn't. What is real and what isn't, even for the main character. Amazing performances, and it is sci-fi, but way more subdued in a way. Also, I mean, I think from like the scope of it, although it's a bit of an epic, it's still more along the lines of like Ad Astra, because it's set way more in like confined spaces and very minimal dialogue and such cool locations and design. I think production design. I don't know. Did it win for production design?
I don't know. I know it won cinematography. Thank God.
Yeah, because Roger Deakins, one of the best fucking cameramen out there. It's just a gorgeous movie, which with an amazing story, and like you said, it lived up to the expectation, and it is very much worthy of being its own standalone movie.
Right. And we throw around the word that a movie is gorgeous. We throw around gorgeous or like that's a beautiful movie quite a lot. But there's a few movies that are more beautiful than Blade Runner 2049.
Definitely.
And what I love about it, that I couldn't believe it when I first saw it, is that the story is somehow as original and brilliant as the first one without it being the same story again. And the turns it takes is, I think it's masterful.
Yeah.
And I think it's written by the same guy as who did the first one.
Could be. And I think it's a great decision to put in a new protagonist and not just to pick up the story with Harrison Ford, because I don't think this would have worked as well.
No, 100%.
And to see all of it unfold in front of his eyes, because of course nobody knew what happened in that story between those two, between the like 30, 40 years that had passed between the first and second movie.
Yeah.
And then to see the developments and see what might have happened to those two characters, and just as him be completely blown away by what happened. Such a cool concept.
For sure.
I mean, Blade Runner, the only thing that kind of bugs me in the whole concept of Blade Runner is the replicants are so human-like that I don't understand how somebody could not see them as human, since they have like blood and organs, I think, and pretty much exactly like humans, except they're stronger.
Well, that's the story, though, isn't it?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a weird concept. Also, then seeing one of them being born instead of made. It's
and Leto is Jared Leto is good
instead of David Bowie. Sadly, would have been so amazing if it had been him.
Yeah, but I think he does a great job
so
too.
Great. Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I mean,
only leaves the last movie, because I think we've talked about Blade Runner quite a bit for obvious reasons.
Yeah, last sentence I got on it is that I wish they could have promoted the movie without Harrison Ford for it to be a reveal that he's in it, but I know that's impossible.
I mean, it still didn't do as well as it should have.
Oh, 100%. But that's because of it's 2 hours 44. And
yeah. That's kind of the problem with big budget movies, but still leaving the director some artistic freedoms. Makes for the way better movie, but sadly not everybody's going to go out and see it because it's not made to fit everybody, you know,
for sure,
which kind of dumbs it down a bit. And yeah, sadly, if people don't watch it, people are not going to get that budget in the future, which is why I'm so surprised that he still got a big budget for Dune, and I'm so fucking glad about it.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think of sci-fi movies, you think of Star Wars, Alien, but you have to think of Blade Runner.
Yeah.
Just for its originality and the world building in the first one and in the second one too. It's sci-fi on the highest level. And it's
some of the
really amazing.
Coolest fucking designs of like cars and cities, and it's really got this dystopian feeling. Iconic. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And I couldn't believe that it came out like 4 years ago almost already.
But funny, I think it came out the same year as Ready Player One, right? And Ready Player One was, I think, the best thing that you had seen that year, you said?
No, I think Ready Player One was the year after.
Oh, okay.
I think Blade Runner was my one that year. I think so, yeah. What's your... So what is it now? It is... That was my 2 too, so now it's your one. Okay.
Yeah, the best thing that I've seen in the sci-fi genre from 2010 to 2019 is, of course, Arrival, a movie that I've talked about on the Amy Adams special, and I had mentioned it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, and you almost excluded it today.
Yeah, because I thought it was too obvious, you know? And I want to make it maybe a bit more exciting as to what would be my number one. But Arrival, what I love about it is the approach to sci-fi, which is way more original than most movies dare to be, which is to kind of see it as a more realistic thing. How would you even communicate with an alien? All those difficulties that would set in, and the fucking shock of people when something lands on this planet from somewhere else in this universe. Fucking societies might break down. It's a lot of pressure to put on people. And it's that realistic approach and amazing acting. And yeah, language as a whole is an interesting concept, but to put that to a test with a whole new species is such a cool concept that I never would have thought that I wanted to see, or even a movie to be made about it.
Right.
And I'm so glad it is out. I mean, like I mentioned this before, I think I saw it in the cinemas like 5 or 6 times. And it just got better every fucking time.
Yeah. And obviously directed by the same guy who did Blade Runner 2049, the great.
Yeah, because he is a
Alex
fucking genius.
Garland.
I mean, yeah, with Dune coming out, Denis Villeneuve, he might be the best fucking sci-fi director ever, which I wouldn't have thought.
Definitely one of the greats.
I mean, with 3 sci-fi classics, he would be way up there, right? I mean, I would have thought that his sci-fi... Of course, because he did the original Blade Runner and Alien, which is also...
Right.
Yeah, fair enough. But, I mean, I never would have thought that he would beat that into sci-fi. But his last 3 movies were set in that genre, but before that they were quite different. But it's still the mixture of his older movies, which is quite serious and emotional and close-knit stories, but on a much grander scale.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it only your 5? Or
it's
6?
It's only 5 because of the other 4 movies. It literally, and I said it before, 5 through 1 is interchangeable.
Okay.
Maybe I said 4 through 1, but 5. I love all of those movies, and this is just how the list looked today.
Fair enough.
You know, I love Arrival too. I remember distinctly watching it at the film festival, at the Viennese Film Festival, and the year of that film festival was insane because I think it was La La Land, Manchester by the Sea, and Arrival within like 2 days. I think.
Could be.
So an amazing couple of days of movies, and Arrival. I mean, yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful film.
Yeah,
and,
but still so simplistic.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Simplistic and just in terms of sci-fi, I mean, the whole like language thing and the way the language looks too, which could have been much worse. I mean, it is simplistic, but it looks beautiful. And obviously the whole aspect.
Unique.
Yeah. What happens if you understand that language is incredible. And obviously Renner is great too. And the whole story
Whitaker.
between them.
Loved it, dude. Also in Rogue One.
Jeremy Renner?
No, Forrest Whitaker.
Oh, Forrest Whitaker. Yeah.
But Arrival, I mean, sorry, I just still get fucking goosebumps. In the ending and at the beginning, the very first scene and some of the very last scenes, they get me every fucking time, which is hard to say about a movie that you've seen about 10 times.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's an amazing movie. Amazing movie. Written by... Is it Eric Heisserer?
Sounds correct.
I think so, right? I think it's based on a short story by someone called Young or something like that. Is it Ben Young? I'm throwing out things that I have I don't even know why I'm putting myself in this situation right now.
It sounds correct. I forgot what
Chiang, not Ben Young. Ted Chiang.
but
Eric Heisserer.
Eric Heisserer.
Yeah.
A Story of Your Life, which is not a great title. I'm glad they changed it. But I think the short story is quite different than the movie.
Sure. I would think so.
Right. So let's get to one of the best sci-fi films of this decade, or last decade, sorry.
Right. I mean, from one to another. I mean, my one is The Martian. And it like the 1 and 2 spots, I could have put Blade Runner at 1, but The Martian is just... I think it's close to perfect, that movie. And as a huge fan of Matt Damon, I just appreciated the humor of it the most. And I've talked about this, I think, multiple times, even on this podcast. And I watched this for the first time with you. And directed by Ridley Scott, funnily enough. And I expected I know the trailer looked okay. I remember Jeff Daniels speaking of that they lost Mark Watney up on Mars. But I did not expect this movie to be as funny as it is. And without it being on the nose, like, the situational humor that I so appreciate is just so on show on The Martian. In The Martian, I love it for that, and how Matt Damon delivers those lines and moments. It's hysterical at times, and obviously the whole the story of him being the only person on Mars and sort of sciencing the shit out of everything. It's from what I've read and heard is that it's all like somewhat realistic what's happening. I think the only thing that's not realistic is the storm that leaves him there in the first place.
Yeah.
But the way he uses his botany powers on Mars to grow potatoes out of feces. I mean, great. You learn stuff every day.
It's the funniest and most engaging survival story that I've seen probably ever.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's once again so, yeah, it's funny, but also like at the end, it's so fucking emotional that I really teared up
For sure.
when he has a chance to finally go home.
Yeah.
And he has to take that chance.
Oh, dude, I'm getting
Christ.
goosebumps thinking about it. Just
Yeah.
also like when he's basically Iron Man and sort of skipping through space and not quite reaching the spaceship.
Mhm.
And a great cast, by the way, right? It's Jessica Chastain and
Sean
Michael,
Bean,
Michael Pena.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
Jeff
you got
Daniels.
even Donald Glover in this.
Right.
Which, in a very small role, which I wouldn't have expected.
But a very important one.
Yeah, definitely. And Sebastian Stan,
Sebastian
which
Stan.
I completely forgot about.
Yeah. Kristen Wiig.
Kate Mara.
Yeah. Is it Kate Mara?
Christ.
Yeah. you're
Yeah,
right.
Rooney
yeah.
Mara is his sister, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, especially if you're like into space travel. I mean, it's, I think, one of the most realistic takes
I
in
would
this
think so,
list
yeah. I would think so.
on the whole genre. But it's still sci-fi, of course. But yeah, I this was interchangeable with Blade Runner. I didn't know how
really?
to kind of weigh this up, because having rewatched this also yesterday,
Okay.
in a kind of a I want to say the movie mood, but it was more in a procrastination mood than I had to do stuff for uni.
Sure.
I finally watched the extended cut,
Yeah.
which I've had on my shelf for I don't know how long. And there's so many small little scenes which just improve the movie.
You think so?
Yeah, because especially like towards the end, when he has to make one of his last journeys, just washing himself and being just so worn down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was
I mean,
that real? The amount of weight he lost, you know?
Apparently, he wanted to lose the weight.
Okay.
He really wanted to do it, but Ridley Scott forbade him because he thought the risks were just too high.
Yeah.
Because he was quite fucking buff at the beginning.
Yeah. And incredibly skinny towards the end, yeah. And I just loved the littlest element of like the soul every day, right? It's soul 230 or whatever.
Right.
And the way they end that. Don't want to give it away now, but yeah. So many little things that I loved, and
like fun facts, like being the first person to colonize Mars if you
a space
planned a
pirate.
plant there, or being a space pirate. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so great, man. And it's this hopeful guy who's trying to make the most out of a horrific situation that maybe stretches believability, because I don't think anyone would have these high spirits in his kind of situation. But
Maybe.
I appreciate the movie for doing it nevertheless, and the writer for doing it, you know? I mean, it makes for great scenes.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe he didn't have high spirits because he was there, but he survived because he had them, because otherwise you probably would have
for
blown your
sure.
brains out on like week 3.
For sure, no, I'm just questioning how realistic that is. But
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I would.
I mean,
maybe.
having watched this movie again, I thought about survival stories, and I revisited a story about a guy that survived being stranded in Antarctica for about a month,
Okay.
which is fucking horrific what fucking he went through.
Yeah.
Like, it's the soles of his feet coming off and like revealing flesh,
Yeah.
which is
Jesus.
just horrific. But yeah, people have survived the craziest shit. And yeah, I
Yeah.
think the human body is a mixture of like breaking in an instant and being able to go through like some of the toughest shit ever.
Yeah.
And to go through it with such humor, even better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. We could go on about The Martian. I think I remember now Benedict Wong as the guy who has to
course.
build the probe. Is the
Also,
yeah, funny as hell
I
as well.
think in Annihilation
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
at the very end.
Yes. I like him. He's a charming guy.
Yeah, he really is.
And yeah, just him singing hot, or him dancing to hot stuff when he's got the plutonium in the back of his rover, and just like the cutting between, like, we wonder what he's doing up there right now, and it's just him like listening to horrific disco music that he found that someone left behind. Yeah,
and
I
also
love
in the
it.
extended cut, I think they reveal what he wrote in the chat. Calling them Felchers, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
Sean Bean saying, "I googled it and he regretted it." I
Yeah.
did the same thing, and good to know, I guess. You know what a Felcher is. Don't Google that.
is it like a blue waffle?
I think it's kind of worse.
Okay,
I mean, I don't know if you're into it. Go for it.
Sure.
Go for it.
right.
Anyway, yeah.
Who wrote
I mean,
The
it's a great fucking
Martian?
list.
Was it Eric Heisserer?
I mean, you should know. You got the book as well, right?
No, that's the different. Is it the guy? Did he do the screenplay? The guy who wrote
I have no idea. Maybe?
No, it's no. It's the movie's written by Drew Goddard, who did Cabin in the Woods and El Royale, Bad Times at the El Royale.
Yeah, right.
But the
Lost
book is based. His book is written by Andy Weir. So
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done the same thing. I think I've got like the book of City of God, read like the first
what's
10
the original
pages.
title of that movie?
Cidade de Deus.
Thank you. Yes.
It's not as it's Portuguese as it could be. I don't want to butcher it anymore.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I mean, sci-fi is such a cool genre, and to have this sense of exploration, I think, is one of the most important things in that genre. And I think both like Arrival and The Martian, for example, do that, exploring different things. And of course, the whole concept of being on a new planet, like in The Martian, must be both exhilarating and fucking frightening, especially if you're literally the only person on that planet.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
What do you have for honorables? Because you said you had 16.
List.
Yeah. Can you narrow it down?
I mean, Colossal is now out because it's not in my list, but I put Midnight Special in there.
Why is it out? Did you put Inception in it now?
No. Well, because Colossal is in my list and not my honorables now.
Oh, sorry, because of the show. I forgot.
But yeah, Midnight Special. I'm still not sure what I should think about this movie. I want to watch it again. It's one of the most abstract, weirdest movie, and I don't know if I like or hate this movie. It's
yeah.
I mean, we
both liked this.
Yeah,
more than anyone else we saw it with.
Probably. I mean,
100%.
I think a whole lot of people walked out.
Yeah. No, I need to rewatch this too. I know that a lot of people revere that movie.
Yeah, it's so. I don't know what it is. I still have no idea what happened. Actually, I can't remember anything except for a couple of scenes.
Yeah, I can remember some things.
But yeah, I got some shows on there. I got like Rick and Morty, which I put out, removed from the list.
Right.
I got Dark in there, the show.
Sure.
But I got movies like Sorry to Bother You, but I wasn't sure if it's actually like sci-fi.
I saw
got some
that
elements of it.
When I googled sci-fi movies of the 2010s, that came up. Yeah, I thought it might make your list. I think it's got sci-fi
I thought about
elements,
it. Could have been like my 8 or 9 because I loved that movie.
Yeah.
Going back to Ridley Scott, Prometheus.
Oh wow, that was in contention.
I really liked Prometheus. Yeah, I really
Interesting. Yeah, I do too.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
Okay.
Super 8.
Yeah.
Live.
Jesus, yeah.
Source Code.
Yeah. Okay.
Vast of Night. I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah.
Chappie.
Yeah.
Although Vast of Night was more 2020 now that I think about it.
It might have been
for us, yeah. Edge of Tomorrow.
Okay.
Elysium.
Wow.
The Discovery.
Oh wow, that's Charlie McDowell.
Yeah.
That's the guy who did The One I Love.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Well, good movie. I was surprised by it. Her.
Of course, Her. Her. I was surprised that didn't make your list.
And Kara, which is a short film made by a video game studio to kind of present their engine, but it's heartbreaking, that short movie.
What is it? Detroit, right?
Yeah, they kind of based the movie on that engine demo. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You can watch it on YouTube. What are some of your honorables?
The 4 that I narrowed it down to were Ex Machina, then Interstellar, which I know you don't like,
right?
But definitely fought for my list.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Have you rewatched that, or are you still?
I don't want to. I still hate that movie.
You saw it once, right?
Yeah, it was enough.
Great.
It's because it's so fucking long.
No, it's great.
The whole concept of, I want to spoil it, but the whole ending.
I rewatched this like a year ago, and I really loved it again. Right?
Yeah.
I sort of appreciate it more than because I've only seen it once before that, and I appreciate it much more the second time. Then I have Snowpiercer. I mean, I thought that was a shoe-in as well. That's got to be sci-fi. Of course, it's sci-fi.
It's more like, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, sure.
It's got to be
Why
sci-fi.
not?
I mean, come on. People living on a train?
That's called being a hobo.
No, with the whole hierarchy there, you know.
No, sure, I guess, yeah. It's kind of dystopian future.
And then I have Upgrade, which I don't know if... Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw Upgrade?
Yeah, like a couple of months ago. Wasn't a fan.
You weren't a fan? Oh, dude.
I liked some of the elements. At the end, I was like, fuck, this is what they're going for? That sucks. And then they did something that I didn't expect, which made me like the film a bit more, but I still didn't think it was great.
I think it's the better Venom.
Yeah, I would agree, but I didn't like Venom at all, so...
I like Venom too. This is directed by Lee Whannell, who did The Invisible Man.
Oh, really? It's the same guy.
Yeah, and I loved some of the action in it because of the camera movements too. That they're like a rig where it tracked the movement of the fight. So when he fell to the ground, the camera sort of goes with him. And
yeah,
I love that. And obviously the sci-fi element, he's got a chip in his brain that sort of controls him. You know?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. I like that movie. But other than that, I wrote down Her. That's about. I didn't even write down any other ones because about time. Oh, of course, The Adjustment Bureau, which I love.
Ah, okay.
But I excluded it for reasons that I don't think of it as a sci-fi movie, but you could argue that it is just as much as the one I love, though. And I don't have a good enough explanation as to why I included one and excluded the other than I know that I talked about the Adjustment Bureau before, and I didn't want to include it again.
Adjustment Bureau works with angels, right? Which is,
well, I don't know. Are they called angels?
Science. I think so.
Well,
maybe
it's a higher power. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but sorry. I gotta. No, please.
Looper.
I thought this might make your list.
Yeah, had a
didn't
shot.
like Looper at all.
You didn't. And I know the last one I found on my list now is Gravity, which you didn't like either, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
those are some big sci-fi names, especially Gravity. But
yeah, didn't like Gravity or Interstellar. That's still a mystery to me.
Gravity is Gravity though science fiction because it's in a very realistic setting, right? It might actually be more like fiction, not science fiction.
I mean, you could, of course. On one hand, I understand what you're saying, but of course, it's sci-fi, no?
I mean, my brain would say it's sci-fi the first moment that I saw it, but thinking about it, I don't know. It's still set in a pretty realistic setting. I'm sure some things are not realistic, but then again, neither is Die Hard, and that's not science fiction.
Yeah. I mean George Clooney in space is just not realistic.
Space, science fiction. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. But we didn't include it, so we don't have to worry about it.
Right.
But once again, the definition of the sci-fi genre is it can vary, of course, again.
Yeah, definitely.
And it did on our lists too. But so we had one thing in common, two things: The Martian and
Blade Runner,
and
Arrival.
That's it, right?
Only three things. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, I had you down for Mad Max for sure.
I that's not science fiction for me.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
Although I love it. I fucking love Mad Max. Still waiting for the fourth one to come out. Or sorry, fifth one, technically.
Yeah, I don't know when that's going to happen.
Never going to happen, probably.
Well, Tom Hardy is doing Venom 2 before that.
Don't know what, I'm sure he's better paid, and it's easier to do, but...
Yeah, I haven't kept track of the production of the new Mad Max one. I think it's happening, though. I don't know when. There's like the Furiosa thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Furiosa one.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's her name again?
Haley Steinfeld? No.
No. From Queen's Gambit.
Anya Taylor-Joy?
Anya Taylor-Joy, right. Because she's also in Edgar Wright's
she is.
Leaving Soho.
Yeah, Last Night in Soho,
right.
Yeah.
Cool list. I hope we'll do this again with another genre, but it's so tough. There's so many great fucking things, and especially that genre.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we only had 3 things in common, but
yeah, definitely.
It made for more picks, which is always good, and hopefully more interesting recommendations for you guys. So
yeah,
I had fun, and I hope. I agree. Maybe we'll come up with a similar topic for one of our upcoming special episodes. So
sci-fi from 2000 to 2009, which is tougher, I think.
Which is tougher, yeah. But we'll think about it. But let us know what you thought of it. Maybe if you would like to see more of this, or maybe go back to an actor or director, or if you have any suggestions, please let us know. And other than that, I think that's it for this week, right?
I think so as well. It's a long episode, but it's a big topic.
Yeah, I think we're right on time with the regular special episodes.
Pretty much. Which is good for me because I have to edit this bitch. Thank you so much for joining us once again. It's been a blast to rewatch some of those things and to, of course, talk about it, you can find us on pretty much any podcast platforms, be it Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, etc. You can find us at Best Thing Radio on Twitter and Instagram. Check out our cover art that Flo is going to design for this special. You can see it on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I'm interested in what's going to make the cover and how we're going to do the intro.
Me too.
To be honest.
Me too.
But yeah, maybe leave a comment telling us what you would like to see next, or what is your favorite sci-fi thing of the 2010s. There's so many great ones out there. Yeah, it's been a blast. Have fun, watch something good, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.